We're here in West Africa, in Senegal, to bring Balimaya project back to its roots. All of us are of West African or African descent. And whether via the continent directly or indirectly through the islands and the other continents, people have been displaced. And for many, it's their first time coming back to West Africa, where a lot of us were taken from or have come from.
It was like an opportunity for us all to go to West Africa together, to go to Senegal, which is, you know, the heartlands of Mande culture.
It was something Yahil wanted to do for a long time in terms of like just getting out, maybe writing some music, maybe playing a gig, but just for us to kind of see where he's from and like see everything that Senegal had to give and kind of relate it to what the music we're playing.
One of my main things in mind was to bring everyone back home.
It was very much a journey into the unknown for me. Yahil had said, come with no preconceptions, and that was very much the thing, you know, we didn't know what we was going to be faced with, and therefore it hasn't kind of gone above or below or whatever expectation. It's just been this amazing, very radiant experience for me, you know, and the whole of the band as well.
Me and Yahil kind of have a connection in that, you know, fatherless black men of colour in London, and went deep into our respective cultures in order to sort of find ourselves and find our sort of father, sort of symbolically, culturally, something. So for me, that was returning. My dad's Jamaican, so for me, that was returning to the cat. And I kind of grew up listening to sort of going to Shaka and listening to roots reggae music. And Yahil sort of similarly kind of, you know, grew up in London, but then followed his father's trajectory as Senegalese thing, the Manding culture, and mastered that, you know, and it's through culture and folklore that I think we both share an understanding about what it means to be black, what culture is, what music is. All these things are very connected. There's something very powerful in folkloric music. It's much more than just the music. We did the kinds of things that you do, like we went to Gorée Island, you know, the old slave fort.
Yeah, Gorée, that was very moving because I'd, you know, heard about it, read about it, seen interviews about it, heard some of the history about it. I thought I would have been prepared, but actually going there was a different experience.
The predominant and the main ethnic group in Dakar here are the Lebu. And they are the owners of the land here, if you will. And they are a fishing community. And Gorée Island was originally uninhabited.
So 600 years ago, the Lebu were the first people to come to this island.
Mais ils n'habitaient pas, ils passaient la journée, pêcher, chercher leurs poissons et repartaient toujours sur Dakar.
But they didn't live here. They come, fish, and then they go back to their...
Parce que Dakar, c'était un grand village de pêcheurs.
Dakar was a huge fishing village.
Gorée then became a slaving outpost. And its history is pretty brutal. I've been before, and I've experienced it as a youngster, but I was young enough to know that I didn't really want to go again. I think it's something that everyone should see once.
Oh, heavy, very heavy. It kind of puts into perspective, like when I was there, it was like I was imagining myself in their position.
You know what? It's one thing knowing, and it's another thing seeing.
Seeing where men, women, children were, as families were separated, kept in dark holding cells for up to 3.5 months. Women were constantly raped and strategically raped to produce more slaves.
My personal take was just like gathering everyone else's emotion and seeing how that affected like me. Sonji is a very quiet guy, and in that moment I could really feel like what he's feeling and all that sort of stuff. And Zozo as well, and all those guys. This is stuff that was happening to our people, you know what I'm trying to say? Like all the stuff they were describing, it was heavy stuff.
there was really something standing and looking at the door of no return, just this doorway, and then just the Atlantic. And I stepped out onto that and then looked out at the sea and just sort of, wondered. That's the thing about being in the diaspora, you don't know. Maybe one of my ancestors stood here and went through that gate. I don't really know, And then I just suddenly thought, yeah, you know what, that was the door of no return, but I'm going to return through the door of no return. I'm going back. I'm doing what my ancestors never got a chance to. I'm going to step back through that door, a free man. And as soon as I had that thought, and then I just stepped back through the door, and it was just suddenly all this sort of weight of, I don't know, or suddenly I felt really emotional. It was really quite powerful. I had that, just suddenly felt all the kind of the weight of it, the emotional weight of it all. And it just sort of put me in a different headspace for the rest of the afternoon. It was like, wow.
As a people, we can. Look where we are. Do you understand? Yeah? So just keep your head up, bro. I know it's emotional. I'm pissed right now. I'm so angry. But you just gotta look forward and understand that we as a people will stick together and we'll thrive together. You understand? Yeah?
I remember Tristan giving a speech, and I felt really proud. We're the same age. And just seeing that kind of emotional maturity, that even in your own suffering, you can lend a hand and pull someone else out of there. A lot of guys were grieving, man. It was grief. I was just really proud of the words and how eloquently he articulated himself and ensured that whoever else was emotional understood that, yes, be emotional, but also sit in this moment and understand that what we've been through and what we've overcome. And there's nothing like us. And there's nobody like us. How resilient we all are today and how resilient we were in the past, it really, really touched me. It really touched me.
You come away from it instantly a better person. I feel like I understand what I kind of, I need to put out.
Our ancestors didn't die in vain because we're still here, We're still out here, just in numbers, and we can still be joyful and still want to build and do better. So that's the more positive side of going there.
Slavery is an ancient thing, and all cultures have done it, and it's this is the most recent sort of egregious example of it is the Atlantic slave trade. We're here, we've got to make it work now. We're where we are, not going to undo the past. We need to just try and make peace with it and find some unity despite that.
To see how we came together and bonded and used each other as support networks, I think that for me was really an affirmation that this is a trip that was necessary. This is a trip that it wasn't just a desire, it was a necessity.
What you need to do, you need to go to your hill. You need to go to your hills room. All you're going to hear is him.
Your hills room is ground zero.
I'll make it through.
So before I got this, I had this itinerary, and for the most part, it has happened, but not as efficiently as I wanted it to happen.
So essentially the band called Senegal Belly, or Senebelly, which was a very humbling experience.
We're delaying that was till tomorrow because Yahya and Jamal are not winners. And we need Tristan as well, but we need a full band. So we'll delay that to tomorrow. So you have the whole day free.
Most of what I've wanted to do with everyone has been achieved, but boy, it's been a journey to get there. I remember after Bone, it just went sideways. So dealing with Senegal's infrastructure, it all makes us part of who we are. Dealing with traffic, Then dealing with how we consume food and water, and how that water and food is then evacuated from our bodies at a velocity that none of us ever imagined. And from Friday to Monday, Tuesday, we've been suffering on different levels physically.
We were all absolutely battered. We had a few days, a few very unpleasant days, and then I was looking, just lying on my back, reading up, WebMD, where's the... trying to figure out, and then we figured out it was Giardia or something, and then went and got some antibiotics, and then we were all fine. But it was touch and go for a moment.
It looks like the thing's done as well. The rim.
I was asleep at the front of the bus, and I just felt the bus lift into the air slightly, and bang, and the tire had just been shredded.
We actually nearly died, but no one acknowledged it. We were on the bus arguing about Michael Jordan versus LeBron. We were flying down the highway, and then the tire just burst.
But it's a testimony to the country. If this had happened in London, the rehearsal would have been cancelled. There would have been one kind of this, that, the other. In 5 minutes, we were in 4 different taxis and heading off.
Yeah, and then took taxis and went on our way. Like nothing happened. I think I was the only one in my head that was just like, that could have ended horribly.
Everyone just gets on with it, and that's the kind of mentality that it's also important for people to see. If you're not used to it, you just have to get up and get on with it. And if you want something to happen, you make it happen. The guy has a spare tire, he'll fix his bus. We have somewhere to be. Get in the cabs and go.
Yeah, Bossman saved our lives that day in my books.
That rehearsal was the first time we sat down as a band and actually said, okay, let's play. And it was like ducks to water.
I haven't seen gear in a rehearsal space like that in years. Like, that's something I'd see if I take it back years, it's something I'd see in church.
I was flipping mixing desk, bro. I don't know how I survived that. Yeah, I was just chilling, drinking my water, playing. Then next thing you know, I had the mixing desk on my head. But you know what? All part of the game, baby. All part of the game.
We had 2 rehearsal days and crammed into this small space. But it was nice, man. The vibe was amazing. The home players on fire. I don't know what the air has done for their lungs, and all of us have been playing to some degree and practicing.
Not only did we rehearse, but they also, gave us some food to eat. Peanut stew was amazing. Everything was just, it was vibes.
That was some of the best food I even had that whole trip.
Because we all sat down on the mat and all shared from the same thing. We had mafe, the kind of peanut stew. It's just...
They didn't need to go that far in terms of their hospitality, and I'm very appreciative of them for that.
I think hospitality in general, just throughout the whole trip, was insane, even where we were staying. Yeah, lovely people.
Got
to big up Yael. Yael's really quite an amazing guy. He's got a real force of nature, and he's just been so committed to this and pulling it together. And everyone's just playing and got their different things, but there was something about it really catalysed, I think, that sort of sense of unity and brotherhood. When we were in Senegal.
So there's this emotion just from Yahil's vision of Valley Maya, just having so many people that didn't believe in it or didn't think it could ever happen, and him fully believing in it and knowing the potential what it could be. everyone in the band, we just got to a point where we felt like, yeah, we're in this. And it was more of just passion that we were just talking because we were like, okay, yeah, we're great, but we can be greater.
Everyone's always been committed to the band, but there was just a new level of seriousness, it seemed.
And it just moves everybody, and then it moves Yahil, to just an overwhelming point of emotion that is like, this is what I've been trying to say. So it kind of felt, we're reaching his intensity of passion for Balimaya. So it was just even more of a bonding moment as a band that we're all just in it together. Where we're dub, but we can be even greater. So it was a beautiful moment, just to have that, get to that point where we're just all on the same level. We're all trying to fulfill the same mission. I want to move forward and elevate. So yeah, I'm happy to see what that will bring.
On three, Dakar. 1, 2, 3, Dakar.
It's symbolically important that you get a bunch of sort of like young, talented young black men coming together and creating beauty and brotherhood together, and that's really important.
So yeah, that was fun. That's fun. To me personally, I was like, wow, it's a jam session, but yeah, we went to this jam session and they asked us to play some of our music. Out of nowhere, this guy just came, grabbed the mic, and just saw that I was just in the middle of a song. Everyone was just looking around. Felt like it's no, never, so he just grabbed the mic. This is Balimaya anyway, it's better. You never stop.
Let's play some people. Yeah.
I think our first album, Watersoul, was more, this is our music, this is what we do, this is the tradition, this is that. Now, this album is also, how do we take this tradition, how do we take this culture and use it to reflect the emotions that the diaspora, racism, living in London, living in the West, that evokes. A more abstract look at those emotions, a more experimental way of kind of expressing them. I think this album really creates space for not only the music to breathe, but for the band to also express themselves. I think it's very clear in the message that we want to portray, and why we want to portray it, and why we're at this stage in our journey, our emotional kind of growth, and then our growth as a band, and the growth in which I arrange and we come together and put the music together.
Having the opportunity to experience music in some of its more rawer forms, in its more traditional forms, in the forms whereby we can see the heritage in a very, very, very direct way. I think it's anchored us very strongly. It's anchored myself musically. Definitely can feel a seismic shift.
There's something about Balimaya project. I mean, it's like Yahail's sort of vision, and Yahail's kind of like the catalyst who's brought us all together. But there's something very organic about the way it's come together, and also the way everyone's commitment has just sort of naturally come up. Like we can all sense or feel there's something important about Balimaya more than just being in a band. But it feels like.
And I'm just looking forward to the band just growing. We're gonna grow. We're gonna go far, 100%.
I think it's been a very successful trip, considering all the obstacles that were in the toilet.
I'm in my 50s. I'm like twice the age of most of half the people in the band. And so for me, it's a real, it's an honour and a privilege and a pleasure to still be able to get out there and blow and do something I'm good at and that I love with like-minded people and connect and to do something that feels meaningful. I feel very blessed to be part of it and very grateful to Yahel for including me. And it's a joy to do.
You've done well, man. Honestly, he should be proud of himself. To be the one saying, okay, this is my music, I'm putting it out, and just like to put people together to try to do something. It's not easy, so he should be really proud of himself.
Thank you for giving me my first time in the motherland. It's something I've been meaning to do, something my daddy passed away a few years ago. He always talked about, you need to come back to Africa as a black person, so I'm glad I got to go back, and I'm more than happy that Yahel was the one to help get me here. And thank you for having me in the band. Thank you for letting me do these arrangements. Thank you for the kindness and generosity.
One real thing that I remember from Senegal and just like being with these guys in general, Yahel says it especially, and like giving his own message to him is kind of weird, but like I just like the fact that he says this all the time. They always say we move. I'm definitely a firm believer if something's going wrong, then you just got to find the source of the problem and kind of just get it done, you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, man, keep moving. We move together, man.
Love you, bro. Love you. Yeah, man, I hope he's doing good. He should be proud of himself. Definitely 100% proud of himself that he's managed to bring us here. It's been his dream since the inception of Bergman Project. To bring the band down to Dakar and to perform and to explore and to find out everything. It's a big accomplishment. I'm proud of him. That's all I can say. I hope he knows that. I hope he understands that. Definitely, Blessings to Yahel. Yeah, man.
I hope that, inshallah, you will get to see and experience some of the vast rewards of the hard effort that you're putting in. I know that you will, but I also know that much of those rewards you won't see because they will go through the lives of all the band members, all of the people that you've affected. But I pray that you will be able to feel them. I just want to give you a massive thank you for the opportunity to spend time with you, to spend time with the band, to spend time with everyone that's been here, and to be on this land together for a first experience of coming to Africa. It's definitely been one of the biggest blessings of my life, and I think that goes for most of the band as well. So I pray that that we can catch up to your level of grace, inshallah.